Netherlands versus Morocco. This is gonna be a hell of a game, I think. It's looking to be one of the better games of this round of 32. Matt, I'm gonna let you take us through it.
Yeah, so obviously the biggest storyline going into this is unfortunately off the pitch. Cody Gakpo has lost his unborn child recently, but the news is that he is going to stay with the Netherlands team and that he's going to continue playing. Obviously, that's a tragic. I can't imagine the amount of loss and whatnot he's going through. Um, but he's gonna be there. He's gonna play, and let's see how that affects him. I mean, and hopefully not at all, and hopefully if anything makes him play better. And I hope he's able to score a goal in this match. I know he would have a celebration specifically planned for it too. So it's to honor the child that he lost. But otherwise, moving on from that, I think this is a very interesting tactical matchup. I think the Netherlands have been very slept on in this tournament. I think people aren't really taking them as seriously as they should be, and that's kind of confusing to me because these guys always go on a pretty deep run. I mean, final 2010, semifinals 2014, 2022. I believe it was semis or quarters against Argentina. They lost. Um, these guys always have what it takes to make a deep run. Uh, and I think that this tournament is going to be no different. I think that they'll win this game, in my opinion. I think that they have way too much talent across the pitch. I think Frankie De Jong is kind of turning into like the engine that really runs that Dutch midfield. I think without him, they would be a lot worse, and I think they are relying on him a lot. Brian Brobby looks good as the number 9, 2 goals against Sweden, goal against Tunisia. I think he looks great. Cody Gakpo is having a really good tournament as well off the left hand side. Um, he had the 2 goals against Sweden and the assist, and then he also had a good performance I thought against Japan. Less so against Tunisia, but they didn't really need him to have a good performance in that game. Um, Jean-Paul Van Hecke is one of my players of the tournament right now. The recently moved from Brighton to Spurs player. Um, I think he
Nice.
genuinely looks like one of if not the best defensive player in this whole tournament. Genuinely, um, I mean he is putting in mountain performances every single match, and I think that Ismail Sabari is going to find it very difficult to win a physical match against him. And then even if you get past Van Hecke, Virgil van Dijk is stood right next to him, right? So I think even though the Dutch are kind of conceding goals a little bit, I mean, 2 against Japan, 1 against Sweden, 1 against Tunisia, they haven't had a clean sheet yet. I think the majority of that probably falls on on the goalkeeper Verbruggen. I don't think he's had a very good game. I thought he should have stopped that Japan scored. The second one, Japan had a header, which a goal comes from a header, which you
Mm,
just can't allow that. If you're
yeah.
the Netherlands, you're the tallest country in the world, you can't allow that. Um, and otherwise, I think everything is flowing pretty nicely for the Dutch. I think Mickey Van de Ven looks a little bit out of place playing left back, but you know that he has the ability to still be very defensively solid and good going forward. So I think the Dutch have a lot of quality. I think Morocco have been good but not great in this tournament. Um, they beat Scotland, but only by a goal, and that goal came very early into the match, and then they kind of just were sitting back the rest of the match, and they conceded some chances late in that game that Scotland could have capitalized on. But man, Morocco don't really look that convincing to me yet. I think they have what it takes to continue their run of dominance that they've had realistically in major tournaments. I think the defense looks a little bit shaky, and they can definitely be got at, especially if Hakimi is getting caught out when he moved forward and whatnot. But this should by all means be one of if not the best match of this round. I mean, everyone's looking forward to this game. I know I certainly am. I think it would be a really good tactical matchup too. I think Coman and Morocco's coach both play kind of a similar style. It's maybe a little bit more of a 4-3-3 for the Netherlands and more of a 4-2-3-1 for Morocco, but Morocco is fluid and interchanges into that 4-3-3 throughout the entire game. So interesting to see how it does. I'm looking for a little bit more from Brahim Diaz. I think he is kind of getting away with ghosting, which is kind of crazy to say because he has 2 assists, right? Assisting in Scotland, but at the same time, outside of those, he's not doing like anything. I mean, he's losing possession. He's giving away turnovers. He's not really taking his man on and winning. So I'd like to see a little bit more out of him. But yeah, curious to see what you guys think. Beto, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you made a lot of good points. I agree with a lot of them. More underrated strikers going into this knockout stage with Brian Brobby and Saibari both sitting on 3 goals, both having really good performances. And I don't know. I mean, the Dutch has just so much talent, like you're saying. It's going to be hard for this Moroccan offense to unlock them. And I think it's going to be also a really big midfield battle between, I mean, the youngster Ayub Wadi and Frankie De Jong, who's gonna run their midfield more. I'm leaning more towards Morocco just because I still believe in the underdog story, and I still believe we talk about these African teams and what they can do. They look like primarily the underdogs in this battle.
Mhm.
Obviously Netherlands, I mean, is really good, but Morocco by no means should be put down. I think they have a really good chance. So I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah, no, I think that this match is going to be a great match. Ultimately, I think to touch on a little bit on something Matt was mentioned is I don't know why they're being slept on. I think the reason that the Netherlands is being so slept on is because they've been disappointing and have disappointed people like tournament past tournament, and they expect them to make a little bit of deeper runs. Uh, uh,
I think what you're trying to say is probably ever since like the 2010 World Cup where they were the runner up. I think ever since then they were kind of like gradually going down. I mean, they
I would
had that.
disagree with that though. I think they've been good.
I
They
mean,
got
then
that Argentina game 4 years ago was like complete cinema, bro.
yeah, I think that was the beginning of like the resurgence again. Was that World Cup and like, but before that, I mean, Euros like they didn't do anything in any of the Euros. The 2014 World Cup they had that stuff fiasco they had with Mexico just for them to get taken out,
Forgot about that.
and then 2018 World Cup didn't even qualify. I think they like
they they
they've
just
had a rough
disappoint.
spell. They've had a
Yeah,
rough patch. They've had a rough
I
patch.
guess. I guess.
I mean,
yeah.
they were in dreamland in that World Cup final with Spain. It was close. I mean, they had chances. They had that block that Casillas had. So I mean, they literally could have won it if it wasn't for Casillas.
People have been just disappointed by this Netherlands team that they haven't been able to produce.
Yeah,
They've been seen as a dark horse in many tournaments. They come in as like these dark horses, like, oh, we'll see what they could do, and then they come in and they just disappoint. And I
yeah.
think that's why people aren't rating them as much as they did back in the day. But I think this Netherlands team is looking better. They have the quality, they have the players to do it. Frankie De Jong is having a pretty good tournament. He's looking like that creative engine for this Netherlands team in that midfield. Um, like you guys mentioned, Brobby, yeah, 2 starts, 3 goals and 2 starts. The Sunderland lad is doing a job. Only 24 years old, so ultimately, I think it's going to be a good match on both sides. You got a lot of young talent on both sides too. At center back, you got the youngster Chadi Riyad, former Barcelona academy player that now plays his ball over at Crystal Palace, and
Mhm.
he's been having a decent tournament back there, commanding the line. Sometimes even looking like the leader over Issa Diop, which is a little bit older than him, and you expect him to take that up. Lee has had a pretty good tournament. He came in, he showed out against Brazil. A little bit of quieter game versus Scotland, and was benched for the match versus Haiti. Give the man some rest. But I think he's going to come back into the starting 11 and he's going to have a good match. I think Brahim Diaz has been ghosting, like Matt mentioned. He got an assist against Scotland, but he also got the assist against Brazil. So it's like it's a very quiet tournament for him so far. I think he could be doing more. You expect more from a Real Madrid player, and you want him to do better. Uh, Saibari is fucking putting him away. We got three goals in 3 games. So I think there's going to be goals in this match, but ultimately, I think that the Netherlands will have just enough to get past them. It's going to come down to the 90th minute. I don't think we're going to have a decider to the end, and even it might even go into overtime, and we might go all the way to penalties and go there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with penalties in this match. Give me a Netherlands win in this match. It might take all the way to overtime, but I think they'll get it done.